call me what you want, open invitation. I'm a human being infused with creative vibration, utilizing melodies and visual stimulation. Beats and stories get the glory, you get the relation. I get impatient like a doctor racing. Bullets coming from my soul, my body just a casing.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Paralyzed Artist Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Alvarez, and if you're new to this podcast, I'm just going to be talking about living with a spinal cord injury, creating art and being artistic, and just life in general. And today is actually one of my first episodes with a guest, and it's a very special guest. It's someone that I kind of look to as a mentor and a source of inspiration. He's a painter, creator, generally dope-ass person. Welcome, everybody, Mr. Richard Bell.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. It's a hot-ass day in LA, but we're here in the studio / apartment with the AC. So if you guys can hear a little bit in the background, it's too hot. It's too hot to be without AC.
Right on. Yeah, I got up to 104 today.
Yeah, not fun. One of the few complaints we get to have here in LA, like we have everything else, so a little heat, a little traffic is not so bad.
I agree.
And as you can see right now, like I was saying, Richard is a painter, and we actually have some of his artwork in the background. When I was heading over here today, I was trying to remember the first time we met. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, man. I don't remember. Like, was it at Rancho or something?
That's what I was thinking. See, like, there was a point a few years ago where, like, we'd all be, like, mixed in Rancho doing different things. So I literally couldn't remember when we exactly met. I just knew that we probably saw each other around. It was probably like at the Art of Rancho show, maybe.
Must have been the Art of Rancho show.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Richard in, because like I was saying earlier, this podcast is going to be about art and living with a spinal cord injury. And Richard is actually one of the reasons that I got more serious about creating art. And we've worked together. Like, I've helped him stretch out some paintings and like kind of try to pick his brain here and there on what he knows about art. And yeah, so we're gonna jump right in. Again, like, this whole podcasting thing is new to me, so I'm learning as I go. So bear with us with all the ands and ums and all that random stuff. But hopefully you guys enjoy the episode. And to get us started, I just kind of want to ask you about your injury. Like, how did you acquire your injury?
Yeah, in 2002, I had a rollover accident in my convertible. Prior to my accident, I was in IT. I was an IT professional, and which allowed me to afford a fancy sports car that I then proceeded to crash. And so I remember crashing and going to the hospital in the back of an ambulance, knowing I was paralyzed. I knew right away. And my mom told me later, because she was the first one to the hospital, that I crashed 2 times. So yeah, I flatlined 2 times, but I couldn't stay dead. So here I am.
That is well. Yeah, that's one thing that most people that have our injury went through something traumatic, whether it be like violence or an accident or a car crash. And
some people just wake up paralyzed. I've heard those stories too. They'll have some kind of a embolism in their spine and wake up paralyzed. I'm like, whoa. I'm glad mine happened, doing something fun.
Yeah, my injury was a gunshot, but I kind of find myself not really thinking about it so much. Like I'm never really like, I mean, here and there I'll have like the thought of like, man, like someone tried to kill me. Like it was some crazy, but overall I feel like once I made the effort to just like move on, I kind of just stopped thinking about it. I don't know if that happened with you.
Well, I didn't really dwell on it much. I had my accident. I was on life support for 3 months, which sucks because you can't talk or anything. Then after the 3 months, I was transferred to Rancho for another 3 months of therapy. But as a quadriplegic, I didn't I don't think it worked out, to the best. just because of all my limitations at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my therapy was done once I got home, trying to reach for things and having peers like Bobby Rohan and those guys challenging me to not, be a lazy bum and get out of that big power chair, start pushing, start playing sports. You know how we do.
Yeah. So you kind of got into that atmosphere right after your injury?
Yes, I was here just sitting around basically. Bobby Rohan came to the house and was like, dude, your wife is feeding you? So he had these forks that they welded rings on so that I could eat myself. But then after that, I followed him down to his van. He hit a button, the van door opened, the ramp popped out, he rolled in, hopped into the captain's seat, and took off. And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? Because he was the same level injury as me.
Right.
And so like just seeing that was enough encouragement for me to just like, okay, I need to figure out how to start getting back into life.
Right. That's awesome. Like I took forever. I made the mistake of being like a proud, like young guy that thought I didn't need any help and I didn't need any guidance. And to be honest, I kind of felt like I didn't want to be a part of the like spinal cord injury community. I was just like, I'm gonna just do my thing. And looking back, that was a huge mistake because I had to learn how to do everything on my own, basically. Like there was some like random like videos on YouTube, but there wasn't that much information.
No, there wasn't much at all at the time, right?
Yeah.
Especially when I got injured in 2002, there was really nothing. And I was an IT professional, so I knew how to, at least search the web. And I there's really nothing I could find that was helpful.
Right. And did you have like any ideas or what any knowledge about a spinal cord injury before your injury?
Yes, because I was pre-med in college.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, we studied, the spine. And, I knew there were 33 vertebrae. I knew when I had my accident that I broke cervical vertebrae because I was having trouble breathing. So I knew I was a quadriplegic. So, yeah, I did at least have some prior knowledge. That probably helped,
Right.
The transition. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I had some knowledge. I didn't know like the intricate details. I just know that if you have a spinal cord injury, you wouldn't be able to walk, and that was basically it. I had no knowledge really of what having an injury entail. And in a way, at first, that kind of helped me because I was a little naive about it. So I was like, I'll get better. Like the doctor right away.
Yeah, we all feel that way. I thought I was going to be walking in a couple of months,
Did you?
Yeah, I think all of us think that at first.
Yeah.
But then I realized, damn, walking is a little overrated. So then I have these cool wheels now, so I'm cool.
I feel like having that outlook of trying to find the positive in things does help a lot because that's how I am as a person. I try to take any situation and try to, see like it could have been worse or like something else could have happened, or I always try to look at things in that light.
Yeah, but that is actually what kind of led me back into doing art, just being around the community. I didn't know about, it was years before I found out about the Art of Rancho show. And someone invited me to it. And at first I was like, I don't want to see a bunch of crippled people trying to do art. In my mind, I thought it was just going to be some horrible crap.
Right.
And but I broke myself, went to the show, and my mind was blown. I was like, what the hell? And people were painting with their mouths and coming up with these like masterpieces.
Right.
And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back into it and try to start creating a little body of work so I could be in the next year's show.
Right.
That's what kickstarted me.
Yeah, I actually had kind of the same reaction to the show. I didn't really make any like prejudgments of it. I was just like, I'm just going to go check it out, see what I see.
Oh, you're better than me, bro. I prejudged the hell out of it.
No, I just went in blank mind. I was just like, let me check out what, and say, I was like, what? Like these people got skill. Like, man, like I need to get on their level. You know, it was a big inspiration for me, definitely.
Absolutely.
And another random question when it comes to the beginning of your injury. So the day of your injury, did you feel like that day was a little different or off?
Oh man, I had it was like bigger than a dream. It was so realistic. I had a dream of the whole thing.
Did you?
Like the accident and being on life support, and then like struggling with doing stuff after, but not like there was no finale to the dream.
Okay.
It's like I was just like paralyzed, but that was basically it. And then I got up in the morning and I was like, man, I'm hungry. I wonder if my mom cooked. Hopped in my convertible. I had a couple of cars, and I for some reason I chose that car, and it was drizzling. And if you should never drive a sports car in the rain. And I knew that, but I was like, it's just drizzling. It's going to clear up. And I think the forecast was going to be sunny later.
Uh-huh.
So I hopped in the car, and that was my fatal mistake.
That is crazy. So it was kind of like a premonition, like you kind of.
I had a total, yeah, but it was a weird dream because I dreamt the whole like thing, like even procedures
Right.
that I had to go through. Yeah, it was weird.
That's crazy. And had that happened to you in any other circumstance in your life before?
Not that I could recall.
That's
But the dream was weird, but I didn't relate the dream to what I was about to do that day though.
right.
See what I'm saying? I just thought it was like, oh, that's weird. But when I had the accident, I was like, oh shit, that's the dream I had.
And did you ever like second guess yourself? Like maybe I should have paid attention to, because I've had experiences where I like deja vu's where you experience and you're like, I've seen this before, but mentally you're just you never register it as like this is gonna happen. Like it's just it's a dream, right? It was just a dream to you.
Yeah, it was just like a weird dream to me, like very vivid dream, but it was still kind of weird, you know?
Right. Man, that must be a crazy experience. I've had little flashbacks like that. Actually, I have a one time when I was younger, my sister, her boyfriend at the time, he was into like racing, and like he had like a little Honda, and they had like a little race, like a race crew or whatever, and we'd go out and just meet up and put races together. But this one time we were driving down like just a regular neighborhood with houses, no like, it was just literally a neighborhood. And for whatever reason, he started racing this guy down like a street with nothing but houses. And then we were going, and then we were about to hit a stop sign, and they were gonna take it. And in that moment, I saw us crashing. I saw like, oh shit, we were gonna crash. But it was a mental thing. And then 10 seconds later, we were going, and they both tried to take a stop sign, and another girl in a car just rear-ended one of the cars, and they hit our car, and we started, like, he gained control. We started sliding at like, I don't know, maybe like 50 miles per hour straight into parked cars, and he managed to kind of like steer it out the way, and the car we were racing got destroyed, like, because he got hit in the back, and then he kind of spun and he hit us. But it was crazy. Like I told my sister's boyfriend afterward, and he was like, "Why didn't you say something?" But I was just like, "That had never really happened before. How am I supposed to know it's really going to happen?" You know. But it definitely is a crazy experience. Do you feel like you were able to adapt pretty quickly to your injury, or do you feel like it took you some time? It took you the help of like some of the peers?
Yeah, took a lot of help from peers, but initially with my level of injury, I didn't have much use of my arms. I still don't have any use of my hands, but I could barely reach my arm to my mouth to feed myself.
Right.
So, but over time, it's like I don't know if it's the swelling goes down, but then I understand that your spine starts to heal like very minimally over the years.
Right.
So over the years, you do get better at doing things.
Yeah.
And so it took a while before I could even push a manual chair.
Right. And then obviously practicing and you
Yeah,
keep doing
and then
it.
you get your strength up.
And just to talk a little bit about like spinal cord injuries and like the levels. So how a spinal cord injury works is the higher your level of injuries is, the less like mobility and feeling you have. And you have a high neck injury, right?
Yeah, it's cervical 5-6.
Okay.
So one more cervical vertebrae down, and I probably would have had a little use of my hands.
Right.
See how that works? 2 more down, I would have had complete use of my hands and my triceps. And then I would have been, close to, you're probably still a little more functional, but
yeah.
it would have been closer.
Yeah, I'm sure that obviously it makes a huge difference to be able to,
Yeah.
Each
vertebrae down makes it's like a huge jump in your mobility and ability to do things.
Right. Yeah, I like whenever I talk about you to people, I'm always like, it's crazy because I'm not much of a complainer, but I'll have my moments, right, where I'm just like, God, I'm so tired of this and that. But like from all the times we've ever like done things together and like hung out and gone places and done events, I don't think I ever really hear you complain. Like,
I'll be complaining about these spasms.
Well, the spasm. That's
Yeah,
so
you can't control that shit.
Yeah, and what he's talking about is the muscles in our body. Sometimes I don't know if they're trying to just like they're tired of not moving or they're trying to jumpstart themselves again or what it is. But we get spasms where our legs will get really stiff and hard to move, or they'll get jumpy where they'll kick. Like it gets to the point where I lost count already how many times I've fallen from a spasm.
Yeah, I've kicked my nurses. Yeah, I feel so bad about that. Yeah, I've stood up once in the mid transfer, and my wife shoved me, I think, into my chair, but I didn't know what was happening. I was kind of pissed. I was like, "Why the hell did you push me?" She was like, "Fool, you were standing up." I didn't even know. So
it just happened so quick.
Well, it was the spasm. I thought she was lifting me, but she was like, "You were standing." So that was a spasm.
That is
crazy.
Another thing that happens with spasm is like, we were actually just talking about this the last time we hung out. Like I have a lot of trouble sleeping, and when I'm trying to sleep, like any little movement and my leg will kick, and like if you were about to snooze off, you're not snoozing, you're moving.
Oh yeah, I get little sleep, honestly.
Yeah,
so we gotta just deal with that. But I wasn't much of a sleeper before the accident, so.
Right. Yeah, I was so. I had a little trouble sleeping, but like when I was working and, I used to play sports after work. So at the end of the day, most days I'd be tired. But there was some days, I think it kind of runs in my family a little bit, like insomnia and like just for whatever reason, I think a few of like my siblings just have a really hard time sleeping. Getting back to the spasm. So there's medication we could take?
I can't take it. Yeah, I don't take any medications because they seem to have like a really bad. I always get all the side effects. So I had to. I cut out all the medications a few years ago.
Right.
I tried taking the baclofen for spasms, and my body went crazy.
Really?
I had never had like just intense spasms after I took that. So I was like, nope.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where the reason I'm doing this podcast is to bring out more awareness when it comes to an injury, because a lot of the times people just see us in our chairs and they just assume like, oh, he can't walk. And that's literally the easy part of having this injury. Like we don't have a choice. So it's like we don't have a choice. But there's so many other little things that come with this injury that can be like a shock to the system and hard to deal with if you don't have the support of friends and family or other peers in the same situation. So you tried it for a little bit, the spasm medication?
No, I tried it once and
no. Yeah, I actually take the medication he's talking about, baclofen, but I've slowly started to kind of like temper off of it, just because again I feel like if it's helping me very minimally, and it is chemicals that I'm putting into my body. So regardless of what it is, whether it be Tylenol or whatever mild like not even over the counter medicine, all of that stuff is chemicals that aren't supposed to be in your body. So overall, I've tried to like get off of that, but it's tricky. One thing that I've found that really, really works are spasms.
Hey, smoke weed every day. That's what I do.
Exactly. Like I have the funniest relationship with cannabis because I was an athlete when I was younger, and all like the propaganda and like the fake information that was around, like 15, 20 years ago when it came to marijuana was like, you lose sperm count, you lose brain cells and all that. So I was really like, I would judge people. I would be to the point where like for example, one of my cousin's husband now, like when they had just started going out, he was like the biggest pie, and I'd be like, what a loser. Like, what do you, and then I get my injury. My wife starts working at a dispensary, and she literally starts bringing me free weed. And I got into it, and man, the benefits that you get is not just spasms. It helps with pain.
Yeah, the only way I can sleep.
Yeah, it gotta go natural.
Exactly.
And how things are moving now, it's like it's becoming this huge industry, and this should have been happening like a long time ago. Like the stigma that comes with cannabis, it's so not the way we should have been handling when it comes to like that as a drug or like a controlled something like that was all money. And
yeah, well, if there's no money in it, it's not gonna happen. That's right, basically.
So if you have an injury and you're taking medications and you've never gave cannabis a try,
please try it. That's the best advice we can give on that.
We've talked a little bit about our injuries and the how we got to this point now. So moving on to the artwork,
the art world. That's a big story, because I started doing art way before my injury. Actually, the first time I started doing artwork was I took an elective in college. It was just a drawing class just to fill my credits. Mm-hmm. Turned out I was pretty good at drawing. My teacher was a hater though. So that was a challenge just dealing with her. But even after the class, I kept doing charcoals. But I do have an uncle who's a famous artist, Raymond Howe. And he was a famous Bay Area artist. Okay. So I showed him my charcoals, mm-hmm. and he was like, oh, wow, you can paint. And I was like, man, I never painted in my life. And he was like, no, trust me, you can paint. So I shelved that for a few years, got into my IT career, mm-hmm. Which led me to a job in Silicon Valley. Okay. So I was close enough to him to go to his house or to his loft every evening. Oh. He had a big workspace. And so we just start throwing paint around, like mixing colors. He taught me how to build the stretcher frames, stretch canvas, prime, which I still, to this day, I hate priming. Yeah. We even made frames. We would get scraps from a molding company, mm-hmm. and make like these elaborate frames. But, I was back in the day. And then, the whole works. And we just spent all of our time either painting, talking about art. And he was just the funnest person to just hang with. Super knowledgeable about everything, even though he only had a third grade education. Mm-hmm. But he was probably one of the smartest people I knew. He could talk to you about any subject. Right. So it was awesome.
Yes, school isn't for everybody. Like everybody learns differently. And
well, I mean, he was my great uncle, so he grew up like in the 30s, 40s.
Different.
So, yeah, way different times.
Different times for sure.
Yeah, and he was born good at painting. So yeah, he just was good at it. So I guess after he left school, that's what he just did.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. I have this theory when it comes to artists. Like, I know a bunch of people have heard the saying of like, I was born an artist, or it was just what I was supposed to do. But I think what happens is that people get interested in art at a young age, and then they start sketching or drawing, or doing different forms of art, and they just keep doing it throughout their childhood and into adulthood.
That wasn't my experience.
No.
I mean, I used to tag, like, you remember graffiti? You
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to
yeah.
paint the block letters.
Mm-hmm.
But I never, ever really thought of myself as an artist. But see, I was actually a musical prodigy when I was young. I started playing piano at 3 by ear. And so I was more of a musician,
Mm-hmm.
up until I decided I needed to make a living.
Do you think there's a thing where if you're just a creative person, you can go into any kind of like endeavor, and as far as when art is concerned, being like whether it be painting, music, like all the art forms, you think if you're just a creative person, you can kind of find your lane in any
That's a good question. Because with the piano, that's something I knew I could just do. I didn't know I could draw, but like other creative stuff, there's some things I can't do, like watercolor. But maybe I was traumatized by my art teacher, but I will not touch watercolor. So there's some things that you can't, that I feel like I can't do. I was good at piano, but I couldn't play like organ,
Okay.
which is weird.
Yeah, because it's it's basically the same.
Yeah, I was good at cello when I was a kid. I was actually in the newspaper for playing cello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't even know. My mom showed me the old newspaper. I was like, I don't even remember. I didn't even remember.
Yeah. I don't like. I know that I was a creative because I know when I was in school, I entered like a few random like art contests. So I was fairly good, but I never got into art. And like going to what I was saying earlier about my theory of, so kids get interested in art and then they practice throughout. They keep drawing through their childhood and into adulthood.
I wish.
That's practice.
Yeah.
That whole time they might not count it as practice, but you've been practicing your craft for that long. And I think that's what happens. Like those people that are like, oh, I was born a natural artist. I think no, you just found something that you liked and you were good at, and you just practice.
No, I did a lot of practice because after my career I had to travel a lot, and I would just bring my sketch pads, and I would always be in hotels bored, so I just like draw people that are on TV,
Okay.
just constantly drawing stuff, just drawing and just practice. Then I had my accident.
Literally like the worst days of our life, like, and it's crazy. I was actually, this is totally off the subject, but I came across this person that has a spinal cord injury and has like a pretty big Instagram following, and he was talking about people that might just come up to you and ask you about your injury and if that's appropriate or not. Like, how do you feel?
No, I'm cool with that. I just like, it is what it is. So, if you don't know about the injury, yeah, please ask. I don't have a problem.
He had the opposite response to that. He felt like you're kind of being like ableist in the opposite, where you're just like assuming that something happened, like, because some people are born with certain disabilities that they're in chairs and it's not necessarily a spinal cord injury. So his argument was that you're putting us in a lose-lose situation because sometimes it was a traumatic event and we don't want to talk about it. And on the other hand, it's like if you don't know what an injury is and then you have to explain that, it's like sometimes you don't feel like talking about it and it's kind of like forced on you in a way. So yeah, I actually had this conversation with another person that has a spinal cord injury that we know, Rocio, and she feels the same. She's like, I hate it when people just randomly come up to me and ask me my story because I feel like I don't necessarily have to like disclose that information to you.
All you have to do is make up something cool, like I took some shrapnel and Fallujah or something,
Yeah, that's what he was actually saying, that sometimes he just doesn't want to talk to it to the point where he'll say stuff like, oh, I was riding a camel and it fucking dropped me. And
Right.
getting back to the art process. So, because yeah, I feel like when you're a creative person, you can go into any lane, and as long as you keep practicing, you'll be good at it.
I don't know if I feel that way.
No? You don't think with enough practice you can get good at anything?
No, I've tried stuff that I just never became good at. So, like carpentry,
It just.
I'm okay at it, but I'm not good at it. You know what I mean?
But that's the whole theory. Like, if you would have kept doing it, you think eventually?
I don't know. I feel like you have to feel it. Like whatever you're doing to be good at it, it has to be something that you just feel internally.
Right.
That's what I feel
So,
like.
so when it comes to your paintings, you feel like it's something you like have to do. Like you wake up
I feel
with
like that's something in me, but it feels like there's something subconscious that kind of takes over because a lot of times I'll start a painting and I pre-plan everything, but sometimes I'll start a painting and then I'm surprised myself at how they come out.
right.
So, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's that little something extra
Right.
for stuff that you're good at. You know what I mean? And everybody has that thing. It's just a matter of, do you find it in your lifetime, you know?
That's actually like a conversation that I've had with people recently where I feel like, so I paint, I do photography, I'm getting into video, now podcasting. But at the end of the day, I never really feel like super passionate about any of those things, as far as like feeling like if I don't do it, I'll have a bad day, or where I wake up super motivated to paint. So you feel like,
Oh man, most days I don't feel like painting, but and I could go. Sometimes I'm on a roll where I can't just stop painting, but then I go through lulls where I can't produce anything for a number of months, even weeks or months. But what I do to combat that is I start doing just sketches.
okay,
So I'll start doing. I have friends that pose for me, so I'll just start doing like figure sketches,
okay,
and that's kind of a way to keep connected. And then
Right.
once I get back to creating some works, then I'm able to do that.
that's one of the reasons that I want to continue like talking to people and other creative people, because I kind of want to pick people's brains on what their process is like and what they're feeling emotionally or mentally when they're creating work. Like, is it something where it's like, because I've heard examples of like there's people that wake up and if they don't paint or they don't do the thing that they're doing, like their mood changes, they get upset, like it really affects them. And for me, it's like I don't feel like that. I feel like I could go days without painting or working on a video or working on
It bugs me though. I mean, I can easily go days without painting, but it does bug me.
does it?
I feel like, oh man. Well, a lot of times I have like some commissions that I need to finish. That's one thing.
Right.
And honestly, I hate commissions
Do you?
because it's work. When I'm doing my own stuff creatively, it doesn't feel like work,
Right.
if
So-
that makes sense.
You rather just be creating
Yeah.
like original stuff that comes out of
Yeah,
you
but
and
people don't always want to buy original stuff.
right.
You know, they want to buy what they want to buy. So
Yeah,
you have to do what they want to do.
I've the style that I paint in is stencils, and I use pictures. So a lot of times, there's pictures that won't work as a stencil, and people like I've had so many people that I've like have asked me that wanted something super specific, and I just had to turn them away because they're not gonna get what they like, the art that they think they're gonna get from it, because I know it's not gonna work. So I totally get it. Like when it comes to, because yeah, there's something that I'm just like, I want to work, obviously. I want to sell work and have those commissions. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to do something that I don't want to do. You know, I don't want to create something like someone else's vision, even though art is art. At the end of the day, art is art. But I totally understand where it's like you
That's
rather.
my struggle.
I think there's a lot of artists that feel that way, that like I've been in the tattoo space, like I apprenticed for like 6 months up in Washington, and they get super tired. Like they want to create original artwork that's like totally them, but for the most part, you're getting people walking in that want this little butterfly or this a few letters, and it's just like, it's so frustrating to them that they can't really create the stuff that they know they're capable. They have to, like, you know, work with what the person wants. At the end of the day, though, a commission is a commission. And
yeah, you need that paycheck, that's for sure. I mean, at least I do. I don't know about everybody else, but.
So as far as your artwork, like, where do you feel like you get your inspiration from, like, on what you want to paint? Or
Man, it's been harder since COVID, but I get out. I like to get out. Just there's one particular bar I used to always hang out at.
mm-hmm.
For some reason, I'd be inspired there. There's museums.
Right.
So I usually call up different friends and I'm like, yo, let's hit the museums. And there's a lot close to me, so and they change out stuff pretty, often.
Right.
So it's cool to go and see what's new or what else they put up.
Right. Especially here in Los Angeles, like I've talked about where there's so many creative people here. Like, if you can't find inspiration around LA and the artwork that other people are doing and just like the vibe, like, something wrong with you, man.
Right.
Getting more into, so how do you paint? You talked about there's quads that paint with their mouth, and so what are the tools that you?
I've never been a traditional quad. They tried to get me to use like mouth dictation and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
To do computers because I was IT, when I was at Rancho.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I can't do that. So, you just figure out how to do stuff now in this new body. I had to learn how to type, with my knuckles.
Okay.
But with the paint, I can't hold the brush, of course.
Right.
But I always wear gloves, so I just slide the brush into my glove.
Right.
And from there, I can manipulate the paintbrush onto the canvas. It took a little time to be able to do it proficiently
Mm-hmm.
because of the weakness I had at first. But it turns out painting actually made me stronger.
Okay.
So over time, I got stronger, and then I could do, better work.
Another issue with our injury is balance. So the higher up your injury is, the less balance you have. And I know that my level is T3, T4. So I'm here. I can't move or feel from the chest down. So all the muscles around my stomach and those muscles, you use them for balance, to cough. So your balance is always a little off. And one of the struggles that I have, especially when I have a painting on canvas, is like I have to find this weird balance of like trying to hold the paint. So how is
I kind of roll up to the, either to the side or at a 45-degree angle.
Right.
And then just lean on my backrest. And that's how I'm able to work. And then for like bigger pieces, I have a long brush.
Okay.
So I can use the long brush to reach the entire canvas.
Talking a little bit more about your work. So have you always been interested in like working with people and realistic?
I would say I'm more of a figurative artist. So I just work in like mostly realism, surrealism.
Okay.
A little impressionism. I do some abstract, so I wouldn't call myself a good abstract artist, but every now and then I nail an abstract.
Right.
But yeah, most of my stuff is figurative, for sure.
Yeah, you actually sold a pretty big piece recently,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I
big
remember
abstract.
that. And so this, like, for the people watching on YouTube, we're looking at some of Richard's paintings, and he hires me often to stretch his work. So
You stretched almost. You probably stretched all of this.
All of these. Did I stretch this one too?
I believe you stretched that one.
So hey,
yeah.
Both of our work is up here.
Right. I think you stretched all of these.
Yeah, and you were saying that that's one of the things that you learned. For me, when it comes to my injury, I'll have these moments where I know that if I wasn't paralyzed, I would be able to do certain things just super fast and like.
Oh yeah.
So mentally, like, for you, what is that like? Like, knowing that you're like.
It's frustrating, man, because I used to paint with both hands. Wet brush, dry brush. But now, because of balance issues, I could put 2 brushes, but I have a harder time. So now I just basically paint with one hand, and then also cleaning my brushes, and I have to wait for somebody to help me get my paints.
Right.
Sometimes I want to paint now, and nobody's
Yeah.
here to get my paints, and man, you're talking about frustration.
You just let it roll off your, off your shoulder.
Man,
How do you?
The way I see it, I can only do what I can do.
Right.
No sense in getting frustrated. If I, can't get, like, if I want to paint right now and I can't get my paints, then I just start to visualize, what it's going to look like on canvas and my process,
Right.
where I'll start. And so, yeah, you can only do what you can do, bro.
That's a great way to approach that. Because for me, it's like I'll have my moments where, for me, it's like I used to like working on my car and getting stuff, and now I have to like take it to my brother-in-law or take it, have my dad fix it. And so it can be super frustrating just knowing like, man, if I was wasn't in this situation, and I know that like a lot of people, that's a struggle that they're gonna have getting into a little bit out of the art and into if there's somebody out there that might have a recent injury, what are like some things that you would recommend as far as like trying to get their life back on track or trying to find something that that they're interested in? Like what advice would you give somebody that has a recent injury?
Well, for me, I would say the fun part is to figure it out. Right. So if there's something that you did before you want to do, there's probably an adaptive way you can do that. Right. And in our community, we've gotten to do a lot of things. Like I've gone skiing.
Right.
And I didn't even necessarily really dig skiing before my injury. But I went. Also, shooting. We call our group Will Team 6.
Will Team 6.
Yeah, we shoot everything. AKs, AR-15s, Uzis. I've shot a lot of different guns and stuff. I don't know if you've done that with the Triumph Foundation.
I haven't.
Yeah, they usually organize and put together all of that kind of stuff. Right. So yeah, I've done a lot of stuff since my injury. Stuff I wouldn't have done before the injury, like travel, some of the crazy trips. So me and a couple of guys in the chairs, a couple of my friends, we went on this huge trip to like Italy, Sicily, Athens, Jordan, Muscat, Oman, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. And then at Abu Dhabi, we went to the Formula One race. But through all of those, different cities, we had to figure out how to get around in a chair. And let me tell you, overseas, accessibility means something totally different. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. Most of the time we had to roll in the road because there weren't curb cuts. And but the people were always kind in all the cities. So I don't know how we managed, but we didn't have any like major hiccups.
Right.
So, I mean, it was great. Abu Dhabi was awesome. We went to the race. We got there and, the tracks are huge.
Right.
So to get to our place was like a few miles. So they called up like straight up accessible vans.
Just like inside.
Yeah, so it was like 3 of us in chairs. So they had 2 vans roll up.
Nice.
And then so like 2 of us got in one van, and then me and my wife got in another van, and then they took us to where we could enter. So and they had an elevator which broke at the end of the race.
Oh.
And this one guy got all pissed off and had them carry him all the way down. I was like, man, they're working on it. So I just waited until it was fixed, and it was all good.
There's certain things that you just kind of have to let it go. Like we already deal with so much. We already have so much on our table that sometimes it's just good to just not worry about the stuff that You know, it's just like it doesn't really affect you. You know, you're not gonna like die from it. Or
You can
like,
only do what you can do. That's, you know, if you can't do it, why worry about it? That's my philosophy.
right. But you guys would be surprised what you're capable of and what your mind and body will do when you don't have any other options, right? Like I always have people like you're so inspirational, you're out and you're doing, but to me, I feel like I don't
I'm
have a
just trying
choice,
to live,
man.
dude.
Yeah,
I'm just
like
trying to
I
have a life.
can't be just stuck at home, you know, miserable on life. Even though, like I said earlier, I'm sure everybody has their moments, you know, like we're all human, and it's okay to feel bad sometimes. It's okay to, you know, get emotional and let some of the frustrations out that you might have when it comes to this injury, because it is a lot to take in. There's a lot of not just physical, but a lot of mental struggles that people might not even realize. And at the end of the day, I like to say, regardless of if you could see what someone is physically going through or not, like, I think everybody's going through something. Everybody, whether you can see it or not.
Able-bodied or not. Yeah.
So I try to always just put out positive vibes, man. Like, there's been times in my life where there's been like negativity and I know how that affected me, and I just feel like with everything going on in the world right now, it's like if you're not gonna put positivity and good vibes in the world, just keep that shit to yourself, man. Just like you stay home. Like if you're that type of person, stay your ass home. Like people are just trying to live and you know do the best what they can with whatever hand they were given.
Right on.
When it comes to going back to your injury, I was in a relationship before my injury, and I ended up having a pretty long relationship with my girlfriend turned into my wife. But it was a big change. It was like it was a struggle. Do you feel like for you and your in your relationship, what was that adjustment like for you guys? If you're comfortable talking about that.
Man, it was just just battling external stuff, you know.
Right.
It's a battle. But we just hung in there, just fought, you know, back to back, just to get, you know, a stable living situation going. And so, yeah, it was a struggle. But other than that, we still, you know, even though I'm injured, I'm still the same person.
Right.
So humor has a lot to do with successful relationship.
Right.
So I still be saying crazy shit all the time. She does too. So
Right.
yeah, we get into our little battles.
Mm-hmm.
She always threatens to steal my wheelchair, you know.
Leave you in bed.
Yeah. So, you know, I got to try to be as nice as possible.
It's so hard to explain to people. Obviously, like I have my level of injury, your level of injury is higher. So there's a lot of things that you've gone through that I haven't experienced. And it's like I said, at the end of the day, it's like, man, like I see you and just doing your thing. And like, if you can't get inspiration from someone that's doing their thing, regardless of it's like, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. So whenever I think like, I literally see you as like a mentor. So like, I'm always like trying to pick your brain and all that. But, yeah, like I've been interested in how relationships and just interactions with people change or what happens when you're in a chair.
That's interesting too, because I got injured. I was in my 30s, like 32, 33 or so. Mm-hmm. Some friends still the same. Like I can't do as much stuff as I used to do, of course. You know, there's limitations. Like they go to a club, I always ask, are there stairs?
Yeah.
If there's stairs, count me out, bro. But for the most part, we, like, my old friends, we're still, like, pretty tight. And but there's some people, but we weren't actually close before, but they were, like, kind of weirded out about me being in a chair, which I thought was funny. But my close friends, mm-hmm. like pretty much we still talk to this day and hang out and do whatever.
I asked because for me it was a crazy, like even to this day there's certain still things that I'm adjusting to when it comes to like people and relationships and all that. Like one of the things that I think I'm gonna do when it comes to other guests, like I kind of want to ask the same question of like, what was your perspective or your initial thoughts about meeting me, and like how, like, did you feel different? Did you was it a little uncomfortable? Was it and the other thing is I'm gonna bring in people that I've worked with as far as like photography. I know that you shoot with some of the models you work with. I don't know, has that ever crossed your mind, like how they perceive
Oh yeah,
you?
because for me, I can't paint out of my head. I wish. I think there's 3% of artists in the world that can do that, and I'm unfortunately not one of them. So I have to do usually a photo reference.
Okay.
Or if it's not, I don't do a lot of live painting. Mm-hmm. I do a live sketching.
Okay.
But painting takes so long, especially depending on the medium you're working with.
Right.
Oils could take months to do a painting.
Yeah.
Acrylics could take, days to a week or 2 weeks.
Right.
So, yeah, you can't have your friends sitting there for like 2 weeks. They got jobs and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, I usually do a photo shoot and have a photo reference.
Is it easy for you to just like, just start talking to new people, and like, do you feel like...
I don't just shoot anybody either. Like a lot of people, once you start painting, people come up to you and want to be painted.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, if I don't know you, if I meet someone and I don't connect with them, I'm not going to paint you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but if we meet up and then we hang out a little bit, I get to know who you are, get to know your personality.
Right.
Then it's easier for me to work with you.
Cool. So to kind of start closing it out, how do you show your work? Like, what is the process of...
Oh, man. Our friend Kristen Bryn, he stretched for her.
Right. She's another able-bodied, amazing artist, like really cool person.
Yeah, she's my mentor.
Okay.
But I met her after my injury. I met her at a charitable event, and her work was there, and I was like, whoa. And I just so happened to have I was picking up some paintings from this other area I used to work with to bring home. Mm-hmm. So I had them rolled up in the back of my chair.
Okay.
And she was like, whoa, what's that? And I showed her. She was, oh my God, you're a pretty good artist. And she was like, she told me where she lived, and we actually hooked up and connected and started talking about art and different shows. She introduced me to the director of the Beverly Hills Art Show,
okay,
who told me, you need to apply for this show.
Right.
And I did, and big surprise to me, I got in. And I did that show several times. It's a judged show too. So when you apply, they don't know that you're in a chair. They don't know you from anybody.
Right.
And so it felt like a great sense of accomplishment getting accepted.
Right.
And one of the years that I was there, I did win a third place ribbon.
Yeah.
So that was mind blowing.
Well, I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys a ribbon.
Out of 250 artists or so. Yeah, that really kind of like made me feel good about my work.
Yeah. Kind of like validated,
Yeah, that's a lot of validation. Then, you just move on to the next thing. So started doing just like chocolate and art and all these other different shows.
Yeah.
Then I got a scholarship to the Vermont Studio Center in Vermont for a month. It was a fabulous studio. Like, damn, I wish I could take that studio home. But man, so while everybody was like trying to go skinny dipping and stuff, I was in that studio like, this is like an opportunity. I was just working it out.
Yeah.
So when I got home, I went into a gallery, and we were talking about the next show. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, I have some work similar I did in Vermont. And she asked to see it, and I showed her on my phone. Mm-hmm. She was like, oh man, you got to be in this show. And so that's how I got my first gallery showing.
Okay.
Galleries are a trip. I mean, that's a whole nother day and a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Getting into galleries, that's it's something to navigate,
Yeah. No, yeah, it's the art word is tricky in some spots. It's like you have
The
to.
art world is very tricky.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of have to just, don't try to do too much too fast.
Hmm.
Pace yourself.
So mainly galleries and like is where you show most of your work.
Yeah, some galleries, but I like to do shows. Not necessarily to sell, because I don't sell a lot at the Beverly Hills Art Show, but I do get, most of my commission work comes out of that.
Right, right.
And a lot of connections with other galleries and art dealers and,
Nice, nice.
so it's worth it.
So where can people reach you? Where can people see your work? Check out your.
I think my website is www.rbellart.com.
Nice.
And then my Instagram is at Dickie Bell with
Okay.
a Y, DICKYBELL.
Yeah, they'll be somewhere on the screen. I'll
Either
throw them
or.
for you, so people can check out.
That's the best. Those are the best ways.
He's an amazing artist. You guys definitely need to check out his work, and subscribe. Throw that follow. We're gonna be bringing you. I'm sure we'll record some episodes in the future. I'm actually gonna do an episode with Kristen. For sure. So you guys
That'd be cool.
you guys can find out who she is and a little bit down the line. But yeah, just got to say thank you for, taking the time out of your day to talk a little bit about your story and how you got into the art world. You guys can't see right now, but
My dog is harassing me because he needs to go out and pee.
yeah,
Okay, hold on, buddy.
he's what kind of dog?
Eurasia. You have to look that one up. Eurasia. He's kind of looks like a little wolf.
He's like a bear.
Yeah.
He's like a little dog bear. But yeah, so like I was saying, thank you for taking the time out of your day and showing us your work. Any last words you want to say? Any closing statements?
You know me, man. Just want to get back to painting.
For sure. Well, again, thanks again, and hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Peace.
Later.
Pacing in my studio, just coming up with dapper bars to spit in crucial situations when I play the rapper's part. Heard I got a denim heart and lyricism in my jeans. Cut a track down, leave it bald head like Mr. Clean. Spit it mean, a record fiend. I school you niggas, call me Dean. I'm always speechless, never seen. Stay on the chase for minty green. It's local how these niggas say they ballin', but they broke though.